Good afternoon and welcome to the pastor's office. If you don't mind, we're not going to talk about coronavirus nor much directly related to it, but we are going to talk about the subject of God helps who? Does God help those who help themselves? That was a sincere question asked of me a number of years ago. A phrase itself is often quoted as a statement of personal initiative. Its roots actually run fairly deep in antiquity, perhaps as early as Sophocles in 409 BC, then in the fables of Hercules. Of course, in time, it surfaced in the form of which we are now familiar. In my opinion, the cliché fits the American persona to a T in times past as the very national ideal, preserving our attitudes of rugged independence and personal responsibility. That being said, however, it was interesting, no, rather it was quite surprising to catch some statistics accrued by George Barna on what my fellow Americans think about this cliché. To the statement that the Bible teaches that God helps those who help themselves, 53% of Americans agreed strongly, and 22% agreed somewhat. Here is where it got surprising. Of born-again Christians, a huge, whopping 68% agreed. In addition, a poll in 1990 revealed that a whopping 81% of all people believed it was taught in the Bible. 75% of all teenagers polled claimed it was the central message of the Bible. Now here is where I would like to chime in with my 2 cents worth. While I admire anyone with initiative and would like an extra helping myself, it may come as a shock to some and to the relief of others that no such principle is even so much as hinted at in the Scripture. The Bible is filled with stories of individuals taking initiative while assuming that God is pleased with it all. For one, Saul issued a carpe diem, a seize the moment, when he took the initiative to expedite the offerings and get on with the program. After all, Samuel's delay could be a nod to do what needs to be done. Suffice to say, God was not at all pleased. Perhaps even less known is Jehu's enthusiastic massacre of the Judean king Ahaziah and all 42 of his family, thinking that if it was good for wicked King Ahab and company, why not help himself to dispensing with wicked King Ahaziah and his relatives? Well, God wasn't pleased with his initiative either. I suppose the problem of helping oneself with the assumption that God will in turn pitch in is found in the very word assume. Does the word manipulate come to mind here? The Bible never suggests any virtue toward our presuming anything. In fact, it warns us against presumption and exhorts us to trust in the Lord with all our hearts. Now, don't get me wrong here. Initiative is a virtue, but a virtue when and where it finds itself subservient to God's desires and directives. After all, if God helps those who help themselves, then we must ask, what are they helping themselves to? Well, whatever their heart desires, I presume, would be my guess. No, the key is not that God helps those who help themselves, but God helps those who put their trust solely in Him. Proverbs puts it clear enough. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. Let me conclude by saying that what really pleases God and secures His help is what the Bible calls a broken and a contrite heart. It's not rugged independence that finds the smile of God, but our willingness to admit our desperation without Him. If God is to be moved, it will only be by the desperation you own up to and the initiative that you take in seeking Him. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise. May God bless, and thank you for listening to this.